Hi, I'm John Levey with Peter Bodo for Tennis.com's Quick Hits. Pete, looking back on 2008, the men's game, the year, you have to look at it as being Rafael Nadal's year. Didn't quite start that way. You wouldn't look at it thinking, oh, this guy's going to dominate. But once he got to the clay courts, that's when he takes over.
Well, he always seems to fire out on the clay courts, but this year he really backed it up with that Wimbledon win. One big thumbs up for Rafael Nadal. You know, he went in there and, you know, he took on Federer in the lair of the king, in the lair of the lion, whatever you want to call it. And he really, you know, that was the linchpin for his year. Once he got that Wimbledon win under his belt, anything after that was gravy. And he won the Olympic gold in Beijing. You know, he tailed off a little bit at the end of the year. But I think for next year, you might be looking at Nadal readjusting his schedule a little bit now that he knows he can win big tournaments on other surfaces.
You mentioned Roger Federer. He did have a good year getting to 2 Slam finals and winning the U.S. Open. But some younger guys kind of bubbled up this year and came out of nowhere. Novak Djokovic won the Australian. There were some other guys. Andy Murray got to the finals of a Slam. Wilfried Tsonga got to the finals of Australia also. Tell me about some of those guys.
Well, you know, right now you got to look at Novak Djokovic, especially after his performance in Shanghai. You've got to put him right up there. You know, in fact, he's right up close in Roger Federer's rearview mirror. There's, I think, only 10 ATP points separating them as we speak. So next year, though, you know, Djokovic is going to go into the Australian Open with a lot of confidence as a defending champ. You can expect good things from him. But these other guys, you know, I think what's going to happen this year, my guess, is that the wealth is going to be spread around a little bit. So far, past couple of years, you've had a lot of Nadal and you've had a lot of Federer. This year, I think you're going to have a couple of these other guys sneaking and winning some of these tournaments, and that's going to make it kind of easier for Nadal because he's not going to have to work so hard to maintain his #1 position because everyone will be winning a little bit more here and there.
If some players are going up, that means some players are going down. So there are a few disappointing seasons. And for the American fans, I think that starts with Andy Roddick.
Yeah, it's the law of the jungle, John. You know, one guy's gain is another guy's loss. And I think for Andy Roddick, it's got to be particularly galling in a way. You know, he came out last year in the winter. He had some good tournaments. He had a great tournament in Dubai. He got a couple wins over Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, you know, and suddenly he looked like maybe he was going to really make a run here. And then the bottom kind of fell out for him. He had a little bit of an injury with his shoulder. A couple other things came along, knocked him off his high horse. But two other guys who really have to be disappointed are Richard Gasquet and Gael Monfils, 2 Frenchmen. Now, granted, the French have a couple of good players coming up, guys like Gilles Simon and Wilfried Tsonga. So, you know, they're in pretty good shape nationally speaking. But Gasquet and Monfils kind of fell a little bit behind the pack this year. We're going to see what they can do next year.
They're still young. Maybe they could be the breakout stars of 2009. Well, that wraps up Tennis.com's Quick Hits. I'm John Levey with Peter Bodo.